Life doesn't ask us when to deliver its hardest punches. It doesn't knock before barging in with chaos, heartbreak, and loss. It simply comes like a storm without warning. And that's exactly what happened to Armaan, a young man who thought he had his life all figured out. Narrative begins. Armaan was 25, bright, ambitious, the kind of soul that parents point at and say, "Look at him. He's going somewhere." He was working at a tech startup, had just gotten engaged to the love of his life, and had plans to buy his first home. He was living in the climb that phase of life, where every day feels like a small step toward a big dream. But life had other plans. One rainy Monday morning, he received a phone call that turned his entire world upside down. "We're sorry to inform you, your father has had a stroke." Armaan froze. His mother was in tears. His younger sister collapsed. And in an instant, Armaan went from dream chaser to family caretaker. The medical bills piled up. His savings disappeared. He started taking night shifts to support his family, his fiancée. She tried to stay, but the pressure of a future uncertain eventually pushed her away. One by one, the lights in his life dimmed until all that was left was darkness, the fall. 6 months later, Armaan found himself sitting alone in a small hospital room, staring at his father, once a strong, loud, larger-than-life man, now barely able to lift a spoon. "Why me?" Armaan whispered to himself, voice cracking. "What did I do to deserve this pain?" He looked in the mirror and barely recognized himself. Eyes sunken, beard unkempt, hope fading. That night, he walked outside the hospital, rain pouring, and sat on a bench. He looked up at the sky, tears mixing with the rain, and then he saw an old man sitting nearby, quietly watching him. The man had deep lines on his face, eyes like a mountain worn by time, but unshaken. Without invitation, the old man spoke. "Hard times teach you who you really are." Armaan looked at him, startled. He didn't respond, but something about the man's presence calmed him. "You think this is punishment," the man continued, "but it's not. It's a forge. And right now, life is shaping you into something stronger." Armaan blinked, unsure whether to be angry or grateful. "How do you know?" he asked. "You don't know my pain." Voiceover opens in a calm, steady tone. When you survive life's worst moments, people often assume the storm is over. But sometimes, the real challenge isn't surviving the fall, it's rebuilding after the fall. For Armaan, getting back on his feet was only the beginning. Because now, he had to answer a deeper question. Who am I now that everything I knew is gone? The rebuild begins. After landing a stable, remote job and helping his family stand again, Armaan still felt empty. Not hopeless, but hollow. He missed his old self, the dreamer, the lover, the boy who laughed easily. The hospital, his father's illness, his fiancée leaving it had all hardened him, turned him into a man who was too busy surviving to feel. One night, as he sat alone journaling, he wrote, "I don't recognize this version of me, but maybe it's time I create someone new." And that's when something inside him awakened. He began the process not just of recovery, but of reinvention. The 1% rule. Armaan made a decision. He wouldn't try to change everything overnight. He would simply aim to be 1% better every day. Just one small step. So he made a checklist. Wake up 30 minutes earlier. Read 10 pages of a good book. Speak kindly to at least one person. Go for a walk. Learn one new thing. Some days, he failed. But most days, he kept going. And over weeks and months, those little habits built a new foundation. An unexpected door opens. 6 months into his reinvention journey, Armaan stumbled across a community center near his neighborhood. They were looking for volunteers to teach basic computer skills to underprivileged kids. Something stirred in him. Why not? He thought. Maybe I can help someone who's in their storm right now. On his first day there, he was nervous. But then, he met a young, 12-year-old boy with torn shoes, a broken smile, and eyes full of fire. Jan asked, "Baya, do you think someone like me can build a computer one day?" Armaan smiled. "You won't just build one, Jan. You'll build a future bigger than you can imagine." That day, something clicked. Helping others became Armaan's therapy. Their hope started healing his wounds. The return of the dreamer. Armaan began dreaming again. But this time, his dreams weren't about cars or corner offices. They were about impact, about meaning, about building a life that mattered. He launched a free online blog called Rise from the Rubble, where he shared stories of people who overcame the impossible. The blog took off. People from around the world started writing and sharing how they had battled divorce, disease, depression, and still found light. Armaan wasn't just surviving anymore. He was leading others out of their darkness. The call that changed everything. One evening, as Armaan closed his laptop, he received a message. "Hi, I'm Mayor. I stumbled upon your blog. My brother took his life 2 years ago, and your story reminded me that healing is possible. Thank you."